Do you check like your spending app or maybe the bank account categorization that your bank gives you and you feel like you've got your personal finances handled? There's a question underneath that here for you. Are you looking at where your money already went or are you deciding in advance where it's going? Because those are not the same thing, even though they can feel identical from the inside. Today, we're going to get into the difference between expense tracking and budgeting because tracking tells you what already happened and a budget tells you what happens next. I'm naming three ways that seems to be a key lately. Three ways this shows up, even for people who feel financially responsible. Using your bank's built in categories as if it's a budget, using a budgeting tool like YNAB, but only checking it after the fact, and treating expense tracking as the whole personal budgeting system instead of just a piece, a starting point, really. I'm going to reframe what a budget is actually for because it's not about limitation. It's about deciding on purpose where you want your money to go. If we haven't met yet, I'm Amy Circa, money confidence coach and bookkeeper. And over the last 14 years, I've helped heart-centered entrepreneurs stop doing money from survival mode and come back into emotional safety and grounded power. In each and every video, you're going to find real, honest conversations about money, both the strategy side and the mindset and the emotional, energetic pieces, because in my experience, you simply can't separate them. So let's get to it. Welcome back to Money Simplified. Today, we are talking about your personal budget and the difference between expense tracking and truly having a budget in place. First off, thank you for being here. I know we've had several episodes, the last several have been a little bit more on the tactical strategy side again, which like we need. And it's also the mindset piece behind the tactical strategy side, right? Like all of that. So just take a deep breath, settle in. These are so important, so crucial. And that's really why we wanted to start with them. Like our money systems and the way we think about our money systems. We are in the middle of like a series almost. I'm going through all of the patterns that my cash flow calculator, which is my free tool, I'll give you some information on that here in a little bit so you can grab that it evaluates. Because most of the time we're doing a lot of the right things when it comes to money and our business, right? There's just little tweaks that we need to make. So it evaluates which of those patterns are showing up so we can show you where the tweak is. So we're talking all about personal budget today, right? So do you have an expense tracking app where you can see the categories or the bank categorization? We talked about that one. Like I know Chase is notorious for this. Like it categorizes all of your expenses for you and you feel like you're on top of it, right? But here's the thing. This is tracking, right? Expense tracking. It tells you what's already happened. Your budget, though, is proactive. Your budget is deciding where the money is going to go ahead of time. So we need to have the expense tracking, right? It's great. It's great that you have your bank's auto thing, and I don't love using that like for a full-on expense tracking system. I'd much prefer using something like YNAB where it incorporates all the accounts. But hey, you've got something that auto labels your Chick-fil-A expense as dining out or the Amazon as household or however you have it labeled, because Amazon might need its own category. It definitely did in my budget for a while. The expense tracking is just a portion of it. Again, we're in reactionary mode and you're never truly on top of things, right? If we're always having to react, there's a delay there, right? So it quietly is like the finish line here. And you're always trying to catch up. Your businesses, you might have multiple business. Your business and your personal finances are separate on paper, hopefully, right? We're not co-spending all the things. They're separate accounts. But your personal finances are affecting your business because you are not separate from either one. So if your personal finances, you're always playing catch up, that doesn't stay contained. It shows up in your business decisions. It shows up in your energy. It shows up in your capacity to be able to run your business. If this is landing for you, the personal budget is just one of the 16 patterns that we look at inside a free tool I built called the cash flow calculator. You can grab it at amycirca.com/cashflow. And of course, that link is hanging out in the show notes for you. Now back to the episode. So, what does a personal budget actually look like? What is it actually for? Because I don't know about you, but I don't want somebody to sit here and tell me I've got to drop my latte, which, I don't actually drink coffee. Coffee. Wow. It's time for me to be done working. Coffee. This isn't about restriction. This isn't about telling you not to spend money. That is not what a personal budget is for. It's not what a budget is for in general, but we're talking personal budget today. We covered business budget last week. So if you didn't hear that one, go back and listen to that one. But your personal budget is setting the intention of where you want your money to go. Most budgets fail because people are trying to fit themselves into a system, right? They've got Monarch was notorious for this, and I don't know if that's still like a super popular one. It went through a phase where everybody that I was talking to was like, oh yeah, I use Monarch. Great. But Monarch didn't have the customization to be able to fit it to your life. You had to fit yourself in their boxes, right? Like it had to be labeled in their specific way. That's not how you think. That's not how you operate. That's not how you budget. So you're trying to fit yourself into their system instead of creating the system around the way that you operate. The budget should fit you, not the other way around. Because the point of the budget is deciding where you want your money to go instead of finding out afterwards. We're setting the intention of where you want your money to go. If you want to spend it all on having fun and going out to eat, spend it all on having fun and going out to eat. That's your decision. It's your money. That's why the podcast used to be called Your Money, Your Life, because it's your money to do whatever you would like to do. I always joke when I do the love and marriage conversations, the relationship talks, it's like, as long as it's legal, moral, and ethical. Like we build in things inside your personal budget for you to spend because you should go have fun with your money. It's important for your money relationship. That is why the long term of we're going to cut and save everything. We're not going to spend money on anything. We're just going to stop spending. No spend challenges, right? They don't work. Not long term. You can have short term success. You've heard of yo-yo dieting where you lose a bunch of weight and then you end the diet and then you gain it all back and then some. We yo-yo finance. And we'll get into more into that that might be next week's episode actually. But again, we're setting the intention of where you want the money to go. You want to spend it all? Great. You want to be in a saving season? Fantastic. Be in a saving season. It's your money. The point is we have to set the intention of where you want the money to go. And this is the same pattern, if you listen to the last two episodes, that we talked about, where we end up that we're almost like cutting corners with our business budget. It's not technically in place. It's not technically there. We can still kind of avoid it because, as humans, we want to be safe. And sometimes it doesn't feel safe to look at our money. That's why so much of what we do here is the energetics, the emotional part, because I can logically tell you how to do it. And this was how we started, right? When I started my coaching, that was the focus, was all of the logical, tactical how-tos. But over time, we've realized and we've learned and all the things I can tell you what to do all day long. You can know exactly what to do and still not go do it. Because to your nervous system, it feels like you're being chased by a tiger. It's not opening your bank account balance. It's you're going to die. And that's a little dramatic. And we can talk about, big T trauma, little T trauma. The way that your nervous system processes it is the way your nervous system processes it. But here's the thing. We can still do something with that. And that's your space, your decision to, I want to heal this. I want to move forward. I want to do something. I want to be able to have my personal finances in order. I want to have a personal budget so that I can go on the vacation that I want to. Because by not having a budget, and this figure is outdated, so with inflation, I'm sure it's even more. It was statistically proven that if you do not have a budget, if you're not setting the intention of where you want your money to go, you are overspending on average by $7,500 every single year. Marketing and advertising, amazing industries. I do it, right? I'm going to make you an offer here at the end of this episode. But if you aren't setting the intention of where you want your money to go, somebody else is. Because they know how our minds work, right? $7,500 a year. That's enough for like a vacation. Even still, I would rather go on a vacation. And this isn't, again, about not having fun with your money. This isn't about not going to spend money. That's all built in. You got a designated fund. It's called your play account. If you've been around for a while, you've heard me talk about this. It's built into the budgeting system. My personal budgeting system is called Budgeting Simplified. And bonus points, as a business owner, it's built that if you're still funding your business from your personal finances, it's automatically built in, right? So it's done. So Budgeting Simplified is the personal side, Prosperity Simplified is the business side. They work together, regardless of where you're at in your business journey. It's a seamless transition. And we talked a lot last week about how important that is, because if you know when you hit this big income goal, all of a sudden you're going to have this massive thing to put on your to-do list. Again, will self-sabotage. So maybe that's taxes. If you hit your revenue goal, are you going to have a big tax bill that you got to figure out? Do you have to find a new CPA? Somebody to handle it? You will stop yourself from hitting the revenue goal in your business if you know this is going to be a problem. If you want to dive straight in, my full personal budgeting system is called Budgeting Simplified. Like I said, I will put the link in the show notes for you. That's amycirca.com/budget to grab the Budgeting Simplified system. There is also a quick start version, just like we did with our business finances, right? Sometimes that whole build a business budget, build a personal budget, being on your to-do list is the thing that never, ever, ever moves, right? Like it just sits there forever because it's too big of a task. So your quick start version gives you one simple task to get into momentum, right? That would be budgeting basics. It's only $33. It's a workshop style. It gives you one task to get into momentum with building your personal budget. Where do you start? Let's get the things going. But if you grab Budgeting Simplified, Budgeting Basics is included. So you can always grab Budgeting Simplified and just start with Budgeting Basics. And then you've got the full thing for whenever you're ready. All right. Both of those links are going to be hanging out in the show notes for you. But if you're not ready for Budgeting Simplified or Budgeting Basics, then go grab the cash flow calculator. It's absolutely free, like we've been talking about. It takes only a few minutes. You don't need to know any of your numbers, and it's going to show you exactly which pattern to focus on first. Maybe that is your personal budget. Maybe it's going to be something else entirely. The link's going to be in the show notes, or you can go to amycirca.com/cashflow. Remember, you've got this, and I've got you. We'll see you next time. Bye for now.